Howdy folks, Bluesboy Jag here, yet another cigar box guitar. This is a dog bowl resonator. It's got two eyes, nose, and a mouth. Actually, these are sound holes, humbucker pickup, and a dog bowl resonator. That's a real dog bowl. Resonator is what's inside of a dobro. If you've ever seen one of those steel guitars, heard one of those steel guitars, you play it like a regular guitar, but usually the bodies are made out of steel or wood, and they have a sort of a banjo inside of it. They call it a resonator. And they call their parts a biscuit and all sorts of other stuff. This is basically just a dog bowl. It's a upside down dog bowl, and it resonates. It's got your acoustic sound holes right there. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need big sound holes on these small guitars to get a pretty good sound. Now these are living room volume. These are not as loud as a regular acoustic guitar. Never will be, because these are much smaller than a real acoustic guitar. So these acoustic guitars played this way with no amplification at all are what I call living room volume. Now, a lot of people will put a mic up to them and play gigs perfectly fine, works great. Just put a microphone down here, just like all the old folks did way back in the old days when they played gigs with acoustic guitars. Run it through the PA, sounds great. This also has a humbucker pickup, which is very quiet. That's why they call it a humbucker, no hum. And we've got a wood bridge. This is compensated, which means it's crooked, and it's crooked by design. That's to keep the strings intonated perfectly in tune all the way up the luxurious red oak neck. So a compensated bridge, basically what it means is it's adjusted so that all your strings, like I said, will be in tune up and down the neck. With these smaller guitars, often I'll have to compensate the bridge, sometimes I won't. All depends on how it turns out. This one, I had to angle it just a little bit. Now if you see those two dots right there, that's where you match up where the bridge goes when you change your strings. When you change your strings, the bridge will fall off. It's called a floating bridge. They've been around for, 300-400 years. They go back all the way to the olden times with stringed instruments. And the tension of the strings basically holds the bridge in place. And it's set up just perfectly so the height of the strings is perfect. It's not just a piece of wood just slapped in there and then the strings put on. It's put on there specifically for this guitar, and it is set up for this guitar so that your strings are perfect, not too high, not too low. And I also include a little L bracket down here. You can crank the bridge down, which pulls the strings down. If you turn that screw just a tiny bit, maybe a 32nd of an inch, just a little, maybe a quarter of a turn, maybe an eighth of a turn, that will bring the bridge or the strings down just a bit by pulling the neck down just a tiny bit, maybe a 16th of an inch or something like that. Makes a big difference with the height of the strings. So you don't want to crank this very far at all, and you don't want to loosen it very far at all if you want the strings to come up so you can play slide. Loosen it maybe a quarter of a turn, maybe, probably a little bit less than that. And what happens is those strings will come up above the fretboard just a bit if you prefer your strings just a little bit higher for a slide. The difference between too high and too low is very tiny, very tiny. Just a little tiny bit can make a huge difference when you're playing either fretted or slide. So if you like your strings up just a little bit higher, loosen this just a little bit. If you like them lower, tighten this just a little. Did I say little? Little. Okay, so there's the end of the guitar. All the strings on all my CBGs are attached with those screws there. You got a strap holder there. Oh, looky, another strap holder there. Signed and numbered since 2005. Tuners. Bolt for a bridge. And as I explained, this is a wood bridge here. And volume control. So when you change your strings, like I said, you'll need to put the bridge back on. And when you put that bridge on, you just line up the dots. You see the two dots on the silver dog bowl there, and then you see the two dots on the bridge. Just connect those two dots, just line them up, and if it's angled, no problem. That's completely normal. Sometimes they're not. In this case, this one is angled, and that's completely normal. So it's called a floating bridge. This little black thing here, I had to cut away the dog bowl so that it wouldn't touch the strings. So that's what that is. There you go, dog bowl resonator. I have this plugged into a 1961 Super. Regular style. Here's with slide. Now this is a pretty clean sounding amp right now. Plug in distortion pedals with these. Use your regular roll pedals for any of your guitars that you may already have. There are a slew of manufacturers who make amps for you beginner players who have amps that have built-in effects like hard rock distortion, just gives you that crunch sound. Lots of them have reverb, flange, tremolo, blah, 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 blah. They're all built into some of these little amps. All those amps are fantastic for beginners. They're real cheap, $100, I mean nothing, and they sound great. And if you prefer to have those effects, you can also use the effects from the pedals. So I have a pedal board with various effects on it, and depending on the sound that I want, I can stomp on whatever pedal I want for any particular sound. I've got a distortion pedal and a delay pedal, and I've got a reverb pedal, and all sorts of different things. And you can also use these just fine. They sound fantastic with CBGs. This also is a weighted box. I put a bunch of weights strategically around here, around the dog bowl, in specific places, so that the guitar sits like this instead of like this when you're standing up. So I put a lot of work into weighting it just right. That also really helps your sustain. So you hit one of those chords, you can just let it hang in the air forever. There you go, folks. This is a 3-stringer dog bowl resonator. This is tuned to A, A-E-A. If you want to tune it to G, you can use slightly heavier gauge strings like a .10 set. You can tune to G, so it'd be GDG. Billions and billions and quadrillions and zillions times quadrillions times billions of ways to tune it. Literally a lifetime of different tuning options, all included on the free How to Play CBG CD with videos and all sorts of other goodies. Free with every order, including a slide. Once again, I appreciate you watching and thank you for your kind support.